Hey there, soulmates. Plenty to discuss as always on this Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. I have to remember that. Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. We are honored to stand behind this desk each day to take you on a journey across Black America and the stories that impact our people.
That's right. We're going to continue to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. Topping news today, a tragedy for a beloved husband. The hunt is on for a heartless killer. A man is wanted for killing an innocent woman as he stole her car here in Detroit. Fox 2's Jessica Dupnick has more from the victim's devastated husband.
She was special, amazing. She was my rock.
And now his wife, Tracy Golden, is gone. I
really can't explain them because if you've never lost a spouse, you wouldn't know that feeling. It's new to me.
This video, the final moments of her life. Wednesday, she stopped into the Beverage One liquor store off Grand River near Outer Drive. Detroit police say a man ambushes her, shooting Tracy in the chest. He rifled through her pockets, then drove off in her SUV. In her final moments, she told the responding officer, "Call my husband, John."
She knew she was always my heart from 86 to 2000 infinity. So, my heart.
Their story, a true love story. College sweethearts going separate ways and rekindling their romance after 30 years to get married after all.
Anyone that knows her and knows me and know our relationship, we were one.
Tracy leaves behind a 19-year-old daughter who tells Fox 2 she is surrounding herself with family and friends too broken to speak with us. Sadly, Tracy died at Sinai Grace Hospital, where she worked for years as a respiratory therapist. Co-workers looked on as she was rushed into the ER where she died. And before her murder, a beloved union steward.
I had no idea how many people loved my wife.
Tracy's SUV was found abandoned in the parking lot of a Detroit dollar store. Investigators are scouring for the suspect from that video of Tracy's final moments. We asked John if he had anything to say to the shooter.
I can't say nothing. Come on in, bruh, before it's too late.
Just an absolute heartbreaking story. Detroit police are asking for the public's help and released a message over the weekend saying if anyone is helping harbor this shooter, they will be charged as well.
Now to the latest with Damar Hamlin. Family members say the 24-year-old is sedated and on a ventilator, but say doctors are working to get him breathing on his own. Outside the hospital, his uncle spoke to the NFL Network, saying the family is taking things day by day and called the injury heartbreaking.
Kind of day by day, they still have him on a ventilator, so once he gets out of the ICU, I'll feel better myself, but they'll just continue to administer the medical care and, we'll just keep going, like I said, with it day by day until he gets better.
Our thoughts and prayers are with Hamlin and his family. Doctors say there's plenty to really focus on here, and so we're going to continue to keep our eye on this.
There is, and we're going to take a closer look now at the fallout from this particular story. As doctors do say, it was CPR and an AED, an automatic external defibrillator, that saved Hamlin's life. Experts say these kinds of machines are found in a lot of public places for emergencies, just like the one that took place Monday night. And now there's a push to have more people learn how to use them.
Then them frantically administering CPR.
After Damar Hamlin's terrifying public collapse during Monday night's Bills-Bengals game, doctors say it's important that everyone knows what to do to help save a person's life.
Most cardiac arrests are going to happen in the home. So 80% of them are going to happen in the home. 20% is what you'll see, like what we saw last night, which are in public spaces, public arenas.
Dr. Fourier Ikiator is a physician at Lifesavers ER. She says while it may be shocking to witness someone suffer cardiac arrest, using an AED machine within the first 3 minutes can increase their survival by up to 70%.
Being able to shock a patient or defibrillate the heart to jumpstart it, you're not fixing the underlying cause. It's not a life-sustaining remedy, but it's going to get them their heart back beating and get them to the hospital so that a physician or an interventionalist can go in and try to get to the underlying cause of things.
Dr. Fourier says even an untrained person could intervene.
Remove clothes from patient's chest. Open gray plastic case and peel off white adhesive pads. Peel one white pad from the gray case. Place pad exactly as shown. Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart. No shock advised.
All right, good information there. Now, in addition to most AEG machines, sporting events are required to have a trained medical person on site in case of emergencies, but doctors are encouraging everyone to become certified and says it only takes about an hour to complete those courses. Good information. I know I probably need to brush up on my manual CPR skills. I haven't practiced that in a very long time, but the world that we're living in now with these type of emergencies that you just don't see coming, it's good to level up and know some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anybody use that machine, and so I was absolutely fascinated to see that once you open it up, there's actually a voice that gives you instructions in terms of what to do to make sure you don't hurt yourself or hurt the person that you're trying to help. And so the fact that it only takes an hour, it only takes an hour to get certified in using the AED, and so this new year, that is what I intend to do.
Okay, we'll put it on the list.
Inspired by Brother Hamlin. I think it's important for us to, pray with our hands and pray with our feet. And so I'll be praying with my feet as I walk over to an AED course to get certified.
Yeah, and speaking of praying, let's continue to do just that for Tracy Golden's family. Just a heartbreaking story. That incident happened not too far from my home. Matter of fact, I love a donut shop that's right across the street from that store. I didn't know her personally, but she is a friend of a friend. Social media will bring you together and show you all kind of ties. And it was just a heartbreaking story. And I hope they are able to bring that young man in question to justice and get some justice for her family as they try to begin maybe the healing process. Just a horrifying story. You rush to the hospital and you die where you work. She was a respiratory therapist, beloved by the community and family, and this one really hurts, as do most. When we have to report stories like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to keep it moving. A man who opened fire on a Brooklyn subway train last year, wounding 10 passengers, pleaded guilty to federal terrorism charges. Frank James, who posted online that he was, quote, prophet of doom, appeared in court yesterday and admitted to pulling the trigger on the Manhattan-bound train as it moved between stations. That happened back on April 12th of last year. The 63-year-old had previously vowed to fight those charges.
The governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands has fired the Attorney General of the U.S. territory, and many say it's because of her most recent lawsuit. The removal of Denise George comes just days after she filed a lawsuit against J.P. Morgan Chase in New York and accused the company of helping Epstein finance the illegal exploitation of women and children in the U.S. Virgin Islands and beyond. Governor Albert Bryan Jr. did not provide a reason for relieving George of her duties in a statement Sunday, saying only that she would be replaced by Assistant Attorney General Carol Thomas Jacobs.
And to Maryland now, where Governor Larry Hogan swore in the state's new Attorney General. Now, the ceremony for newly appointed Anthony Brown happened at the State House in Annapolis. Brown is the first African-American Attorney General elected in Maryland. He says he will be tough on crime, fight for civil rights, and will investigate police departments for misconduct.
Meanwhile, what's happening in D.C. here right now is something that hasn't been seen in a century. And the House will just have to keep up. They'll have to keep at this until somebody comes up with enough votes.
House stands adjourned until noon tomorrow.
And with that, the House threw in the towel yesterday after 3 votes that never got Republican Speaker nominee Kevin McCarthy over the finish line.
Look, I have the record for the longest speech ever on the floor. I don't have a problem getting a record for the most votes for Speaker, too. Thank you all.
You have to go back to 1923 to see this kind of drama when a speaker wasn't elected on the first ballot. But McCarthy is facing a wall of fellow Republicans who are blocking his ascension, demanding rules changes and committee assignments. And that opposition actually grew by the final ballot of the day as Florida's Byron Donalds added his voice.
Once it becomes clear that McCarthy doesn't have the votes, then you have to start thinking about alternatives.
He and other GOP holdouts are backing Ohio's Jim Jordan for Speaker, but Jordan supports McCarthy.
He may not want it right now, but George Washington did not want to be president. He did what was right for his country.
Frustration is growing among McCarthy's supporters.
This is really an inside baseball DC swamp kind of exercise in total BS.
Democrats have unanimously backed their own candidate, New York's Hakeem Jeffries, who said what's playing out now is chaos.
Sad day for democracy. It's a sad day for the American people.
And Republicans have to be careful here to make sure that they keep their members on the floor. If Democrats find themselves with a majority, they could elect the speaker themselves.
Okay, Nicolai, in all of your political pundit splendor, break this down for the layperson, for folks like me. You went bananas yesterday like, this is unprecedented. And I'm sitting there like, why? So just explain to us a little bit what's happening, what this fight, what this rub is all about.
So what happened in November? We saw that Republicans won a majority in the House of Representatives, and so the Republican caucus, gets to elect the next speaker. That's why Nancy Pelosi is no longer the Speaker of the House. The Republicans select the speaker, and Kevin McCarthy hasn't been shy about saying he wants to be speaker, but his Republican members are putting him through it. The most extreme wing of the Republicans in the House of Representatives, are drawing a lot of concessions out of Kevin McCarthy, and one of those concessions was, the opportunity to elect a new speaker with, as few as 5 or few votes in order to do that. And so it really waters down the power of the speaker. And this is not good, for democracy, because, when it comes to passing, run-of-the-mill bills in the House of Representatives, whether we're talking about, raising the debt ceiling or, just sort of passing things that, shouldn't be controversial, this minority group of Republicans, are going to extract a pound of flesh every chance they get. And so this is just the beginning of what we'll see a lot more of the next 2 years under Republican control in the House.
By gosh, I think I got it. Genius. No, really, thank you for that. As we keep on top of that story.
Yeah.
It is drama, daytime television.
Yeah, I mean, so far there's been 4 votes and counting, and he still hasn't got it. And so, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so this might make you scratch your head, or it might make you say, hey, just show me the money. After a decades-long fight to return Bruce's Beach back to its rightful owners, the Bruce family now says it plans to sell the land back to LA County. Charles and Willa Bruce owned the property in the early 1900s and operated a resort for Black residents. Then last summer, nearly a century after the city seized that land under eminent domain, LA County officials gave the land back to the family. But now the family says it plans to sell it back to the county for $20 million.
How about that? Well, from California to Washington, D.C., where Mayor Muriel Bowser is calling on President Joe Biden to help resolve her city's rise in vacant office space and the lack of affordable housing by canceling work from home for federal workers. The proposal from the mayor is that Biden ends work from home telework policies for federal government workers or release vacant government buildings over to a new initiative to move 100,000 new residents into the city. Today, the federal government is responsible for 1/3 of properties owned or leased in Washington and 1/4 of the city's jobs before the pandemic. Mayor Bowser, who was recently sworn in for her historic 3rd term as the first Black woman mayor to serve 3 consecutive 4-year terms, took over 8 years ago with a commitment to end homelessness.
Now, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but ma'am, you better leave folks' home offices alone. This has been sort of kind of the run-of-the-mill thing, the norm, the new norm during the pandemic and now post-pandemic. And I use that post very, very lightly because we're still catching it when it comes to cases. But I find it interesting that now that she's been elected, this is something new that she's introduced, and I think she'll ruffle a few feathers as people are very comfortable. And the stats show that working from home has been pretty productive and profitable for corporations who don't have overhead as far as brick and mortar is concerned, and for employees who've been producing more so better than when they were sitting in the office.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are a number of people that voted for Mayor Bowser that said, well, how come you weren't talking about this when you were running? You didn't say once you won, you were going to call President Biden and say in work from home. It might have influenced some of those votes, but even more importantly, I think it's just another reminder that I think what people desire the most is flexibility, right? And so it's not a matter of work from home or not work from home. I think people want the flexibility to be able to work in ways that are conducive to caring for themselves, caring for their family.
That's right.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out, because I'm sure there are plenty of other cities across the country that are paying very close attention to what might happen in our nation's capital.
Maybe the push could be to flip those abandoned buildings into housing.
Yeah.
For the homeless. That could be a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, still ahead, erasing millions in medical debt.
Can you believe it? We'll tell you which city is leading the initiative, because I'm on my way there, and taking a large burden off of so many of us soulmates. We'll be right back.